Is this the vehicle in which you found on the highway when you arrived at the location?
Yes.
Turn into 10 VV. $11 VV and $12 VV. What were you depicting in those three pictures?
The defects in the vehicle.
Now looking at 14 VV. And let me go and ask, for 10, 11, and 12, what side of the vehicle were those defects on?
The driver's side.
Now looking at 14 VV and 15 VV, what were you taking pictures of in those two pictures?
The defects in the vehicle and the damage to the window.
Okay. And what side of the vehicle is that?
Passenger side.
Okay. And is that where you found the male that you discussed earlier?
Yes.
And the driver, was the driver present when you arrived on scene?
No.
Okay. Do you know where the driver went?
I was told he had been transported.
Transported to the hospital?
Yes.
Now, starting at 19 VV, and I'm going to ask you to look at the packet that's in front of you. Through 51 VV, what is in 19 VV through 51 VV?
There are photos of my casings.
Okay. And are those the individual photos of the shell casing that you collected?
Yes.
All right. Now I want to go to 53 VV. $54 VV. $55 VV. $56 VV. $57 VV. $58 VV. $59 VV. $60 VV. $61 VV. $62 VV. And $63 VV. Were those all the shell casings that you collected in this case?
Yes.
And looking at starting from 53 VV to 63 VV, was that the stretch of where all of the shell casings were on the highway?
Yes.
And did the shell casing start from the rear of the vehicle where you found it all the way up towards the front of the vehicle?
Yes.
And did it go past the front of the vehicle?
Yes.
And were all the shell casings that you recovered on that scene 9mm?
Yes.
After collecting and processing the shell casings, once you went back to headquarters and after you took your pictures, did that conclude your involvement in this case?
Yes.
All right. Now I want to direct your attention to March 16th, 2022. Did you have the occasion to respond to 2830 Waters Road in Atlanta, Georgia?
Yes.
And was that about 5 days after the incident that we just looked at?
Yes.
All right. And do you remember that APD case number?
No, ma'am.
Did you do a report in that case?
Yes, ma'am.
Will looking at a copy of your report help refresh your memory as to the case number, APD case number?
Yes, ma'am.
Permission to approach again, Your Honor. I'm going to show you what I'm going to mark as 248 VVA. Do you recognize 248 VVA?
Yes.
And how do you recognize 248 VVA?
It's my report with my name on it.
And what is the APD? Does that help refresh your memory as to the APD case number associated with this case?
Yes.
What is the APD case number?
220750015.
And that date was 3/16/2022?
Yes.
And what time did you respond to that location?
Around 2:30.
Is that in the morning?
Yes, ma'am.
And for the March 11th incident, did you say that you responded about 5 a.m.?
Yes, ma'am.
And why did you respond to that location?
I was called to this location for a shots fired call.
And what was the weather conditions like when you responded to that location?
It was raining a lot.
You said it
It was raining a lot.
And does rain affect how you process a scene?
Yes, it can.
How?
It can distort my photos a little bit. It can also be hard to find certain pieces of evidence.
And when you say certain piece of evidence, what type of evidence might be more challenging to find when it's raining outside?
Casings, anything involving glass, blood.
What did you observe when you first responded to that scene?
When I arrived, I noticed there were shell casings laying in the grass area by the fence. In front of the fence, there was a little street. There was casings located in the street as well. There was defects in vehicles to the next door, the house next door. There were defects also in the fence and the vehicle in front of the house.
Did you take pictures when you arrived to this location?
Yes.
And have you had the opportunity to review those photographs before your testimony here today?
Yes.
All right. Permission to approach the line? Okay, I want to first show you 248 VV through 271 VV. Are these images that you saw prior to your coming into court today?
Yes.
And then I'm going to show you next 272 VV through 308 VV. Are those also items or pictures that you saw prior to your testimony today?
Yes.
And then last but certainly not least, 309 VV through 315 VV. Had you had the opportunity to review those photos prior to your testimony here today?
Yes.
Do those appear to be fair and accurate depictions of the pictures that you took on March 16, 2022?
Yes.
You're at this time the state would like to tender State's Exhibit 248 VV to 315 VV into evidence.
All right, those are admitted.
And permission to publish. First, starting with 248 VV. And is that the mailbox located in front of the location?
Yes.
And what is the address on the mailbox?
2830.
And is that Waters Road?
Yes.
All right. Now looking at 249 VV. What is depicted in 249 VV?
That's where the scene occurred.
Okay. And looking at 249 VV, do you see the gate that's in front of the location?
Yes.
Are there any defects in that gate in front of the location?
Yes.
Where on the gate are the defects?
They're going to be in between the trash cans.
And for the record, is that the blue Atlanta recycling trash can and the green trash can?
Yes.
Okay. And is that also where the hand is indicating on the picture?
Yes.
Right. Now looking at 252 VV. What is contained in 252 VV?
That is a vehicle parked in front of the residence.
And there's some other kind of spots on the image. Is that from the raindrops?
Yes.
All right. Looking at 253, 254, and 255 VV, is that the same vehicle that we just looked at previously?
Yes.
Okay. Now, looking at 255 VV, what, if anything, were you depicting in 255 VV?
The defect in the vehicle.
And if we can scroll in, is that the defect that you're referring to?
Yes.
Do you recall sitting here now what side of the vehicle that defect is on?
From this photo, it looks like the passenger side,
Okay.
rear passenger window.
All right. Now looking at 257 VV. What is being depicted in 257 VV?
The driver's side of the vehicle with defects.
And I'm going to show you, where are the two defects, excuse me? Or not two, where are the defects that you see?
The driver's side window.
Okay. Are there any other defects on the driver's side of the car?
I don't see, well, there's one right here below the side view mirror, a little bit further down where the mouse is.
Is that where the hand is?
Yes.
And if we can pull the photo towards the left, are there any other defects?
I can't see from this photo, so no.
Turning, if you can look behind you, are there any defects on the back window?
It looks like it may be a defect. I can't really tell between the raindrops.
Okay. Now looking at 258 VV. Is that a close-up of the defect that we saw on the front the front driver's side window?
Yes.
All right. 259 VV. Is that a defect on the rear driver's side above the rear tire?
Yes.
260 VV. Is that a close-up of the defect that was on the front driver's side of the vehicle?
Yes.
Now looking at 261 VV. Where's this area of the home?
This is on the right side of the residence.
And this is on the front porch of the residence?
Yes.
All right. Looking at 262 and 263 VV. What were you depicting in 262 and 263 VV?
The defect in the burglar bar and also the window.
All right. Now looking at 264 VV and 265 VV. What were you depicting in 265 VV?
Showing the defects in the doors.
Okay. And is this a defect as we zoom in at the top of the door?
Yes.
And is there another defect as we zoom in on the bottom of the door?
Yes.
If you could zoom in. Now looking at 266, 267, and 268 VV. What were you depicting the security cameras?
Yes.
All right. Now looking at 269 VV, 270 VV, 271 VV. Are those the shell casings that you spoke of earlier that were on the scene when you arrived?
Yes.
And from pictures 272 through 308, are those just the individual pictures of all the shell casings that you collected?
Yes.
Right. How many shell casings did you collect?
Around 40, if I'm not mistaken.
And do you recall the types of shell casings that you collected?
They were,
That's fine.
they don't, well, okay. They were 40s, I'm sorry, they were 5.57s, 223, 40s, and 9s.
Okay. And have you had the opportunity to look at those items today before your testimony?
Yes.
Mr. Sharp. Permission to approach again, Your Honor.
You may.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as 424 DV. You can, you come prepared. Can you look in that bag and tell me if you recognize the items in your bag? In the bag, excuse me.
Yes.
Okay. And how do you recognize those items?
They're casings from my scene with my handwriting.
All right. And do they appear to be in the same or similar condition as when you collected them on March 16, 2022?
The casings or the packaging?
The packaging.
Yes.
Okay. And is your identification on all of the packaging as you remember it from March of 2022, March 16th of 2022?
Yes.
Yeah, this time the state would like to tender and admit the contents of 424 VV into evidence.
All right, that's admitted.
Can you tell us how many of each type of shell casings did you find?
There were 11 5.7s, 2 223s, 8 40 calibers, and 19 9mm.
11 5x7.
2 223s, 8 40s, and 19 9mm.
When you collected those shell casings, did you do the same thing that you discussed, that you did earlier with the March 11th shell casings?
Yes.
And when you talked about the March 11th shell casings and how you packaged them, did you package the shell casing from March 11th in the similar way that you packaged these shell casings?
Yes.
And then did you turn these shell casings over to the APD crime lab in order for any further testing?
Yes.
After taking the pictures, collecting the evidence, and turning it over to APD, that concludes your involvement in this case.
Yes.
All right, court's indulgence for a moment. I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Cross.